Yo guys, this is Reinhardt, and this video is gonna be about Unholy Decay Pressure Master due to a popular demand. So today I'm gonna be talking about runes and runic power for Unholy Decay, how they differ from Frost, and how you can minimize your downtime as Unholy Decay when it comes to runic power and runes. Because from what I face is a lot of decays have a problem with actually eliminating that dead zone when you don't have runic power or you don't have runes. Now another one is rotation versus priority. A lot of people keep asking me my rotation, and I still think that priority comes over rotation, and I will explain you why. And last but not least, I'm gonna give you some Unholy Pressure Master tips. So without further ado, let's get started with runes and runic power. Alright guys, so let's look at the rotation of decays, and I'm sorry, this is probably not the best drawing I could have drew, but hey, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for you guys to understand. So on the bottom you guys see it's a runic power, on the top there's a runes, blood, frost, unholy runes, and you use those to deal a frost strikes, obliterate, scourge strike, necrotic strikes, black strike, chain of ice, death call, and so on. Yes, those are resources, but if you see if you're not gonna be spec'd in anything, if you're just gonna have a blanket spec, so to say, this is your rotation will be look like. You use your runes, you get runic power. You use your runic power, you wait till your runes get back up. And there is a dead time. You see those spaces? Those are an actual dead time in your rotation. So I'll just make them look like a white circles or something like that, but you'll see why I'm actually getting it in the future. So yeah, those are white circles represent a dead zone in your rotations if you're not spec'd into anything, frost, unholy, or blood. So what Blizzard did eventually is he gave us some sort of resources like runic corruption and runic empowerment to kind of close the gap between those dead zones and to make rotations a lot smoother. The problem though, the Blizzard did it on purpose. They kind of left out the dead zones in your runic power, so because of mainly its RNG, runic corruption and runic empowerment are RNG, very RNG. They made it so you want more better gear so you can get better resources. And if you guys can see those black kind of zones, that's the dead zones. Now what Blizzard eventually did is they introduced some kind of like zone modifiers, buffers, to get rid of it, and it's mainly a two-hand weapon specialization and death coils, and those two help get you out of that runic power starvation mode, so you can actually get those procs again and keep your rotation going and flowing. The problem with Unholy for the first one is that the Sudden Doom you can only not have 1 point in it, because there's a lot of more important stuff for PvP when it comes to Unholy, and this is where most of the Frost decays kind of fail when they're moving from Frost to Unholy, is because Frost also have a such thing as a, I think, Chill of the Grave, that's a talent called. It gives you extra 10 runic power on your Howling Blast, on your Chain of Ice. So Frost does have a better runic power regeneration than Unholy by a long shot. Also, that combined with Rhyme that gives you 20 runic power, yeah, it's actually quite a lot. And when the people switch to Unholy, they're like, oh my god, I'm resource starved, what do I do? And this is where the most Unholy decays kind of fail. They fail to foresee that an actual, when it comes to rotation and resource management, people have to occasionally do a blood tap to get some resources, Horn of Winter, not heavily rely on the Sudden Doom, and on top of it, try to get those resources as much as possible. Because you are resource runic power starved as Unholy, you need to find the ways to get it in the system to keep your rotation flowing, because believe it or not, but runic corruption is actually more powerful than runic empowerment. So by utilizing those, yes, you will be able to some sort of like close the gap in your rotations, make it a lot more fluid and get rid of those sort of like a white circle, those dead zones. But keep in mind one thing guys, you will still be resource starved as Unholy, even at the gear cap level, but it's not that major. What you have to do is you need to know how to get away from that starvation mode. Okay, now let's take a look. Right now I'm just gonna show you in-game footage, and from there I want you guys to actually pay attention to what I'm gonna be saying in terms of rotation versus priority. Reinhardt, what is your rotation? Here's my rotation: Chain of Ice, Black Strike, Festering Strike, Scourge Strike, or Necrotic Strike, Death Coil, Festering Strike. come the fuck on. There is no priority. There is no rotation system in this game. They're not. Whoever is actually saying that this is a perfect rotation is lying, because DKs don't have a rotation. What we do have is a priority system, and the priority system is actually evolved around one little thing, and it's this one: runic corruption. That is our priority, and death coils, because they enrage our path. So basically our priority are death coils. Believe it or not, necrotic strike is good, scourge strike is good, festering strike, chain of ice, all of them are great. But the priority that we have to be balancing about is actually gonna be a death coils, because they give us a better resource regeneration and stuff. But this is based, what I'm saying is base everything according to one binder buff that is absolutely amazing, and that's runic corruption. Now let's talk about how can we get more of those amazing runic corruption procs. So first of all, what a lot of DKs do when they fail is that, how do I put this? What most of the people do when they're playing a DK class from Frost to Unholy is that they try to play Unholy as a Frost, and that's a big mistake. Unholy does have a runic power starvation. So the first of all, here's a few advanced tricks, and not even that advanced, but the very first one is Horn of Winter off CD. Yeah, it's actually gonna do great for you. Horn of Winter is what, 20 seconds CD, 10 runic power, and you can do 4 of those in 1 minute. 0, 20, 40, 60. 4 of those in 1 minute. That's 40 runic power. That's a free death scroll for you. A free death scroll that can increase your runic regeneration by 100% for 3 seconds. That's the first one. The second one, what most people overlook actually, is the overall pressure master, and this is as good of a pressure master as it can actually get. Take a look at this. I'm applying auto break. I'm doing festering strike, necrotic strike, festering strike, necrotic. I'm up to a 60 runic power. Not bad. I can do 1 death scroll here. That's great. Now I'm gonna show you a few things here that is actually really damn awesome. Okay, so 60 runic power. I'm gonna try to get away with that runic power, just feed my goal or some shit. So that's a 60 runic power I've made from just a regular rotation, which is auto break, festering, scourge, or necrotic. Now let's take a look at this one. And don't mind the freaking death runes. Think about them as me having actually those as a frost runes or blood runes. So startup, chain of ice, plague strike, pestilence, festering, necrotics or scourge strike, 70 runic power. What that will give me is actually 2 death scrolls. 2 death scrolls definitely have a higher chance of proccing runic corruption, and that was just by putting 1 chain of ice and plague strike. So what I mean by that is actually the rune efficiency or runic power efficiency is much greater if you're not festering striking. Festering strike is great, but it's also a runic power sinkhole, because it gives you 20 runic power. If you do a pestilence, chain of ice, or chain of ice plague strike, you gain 30 runic power, and that actually makes a big time difference. So when the people actually trying to DPS by putting out a break, doing a festering, necrotic, festering, yeah, they're putting a good amount of startup pressure, but follow-up pressure after that is really not that great, because they are kind of starving themselves out of the runes. Another few helpful trick is, let's say you have a rogue training somebody, just pop blood sap and go do a chain of ice. It will give you more runic power. Another thing is, when you're running shit like shadow cleave or melee cleaves and you want to switch, go ahead and switch with a chain of ice, necrotic, and then only do a fucking pestilence, put death and decay on top. You will get more runic power. So what I mean by that, festering strike is great, don't get me wrong, it's freaking awesome, but don't be heavily reliant on it. Do not use it as a 100% time when it comes to PvP. Recognize that a chain of ice, well placed chain of ice snare wins the games. Recognize that the chain of ice gives you more runic power, so you could actually do a lot. So with that said, if you guys have any more problems with I would say unholy decays, make sure guys list your questions here below. But this is the whole system I'm trying to actually persuade into you. Use your Corner Winter off the cooldown. Use your Blood Tap Chain of Ice. I understand you want to do a Blood Tap Strangulate. Sure, that sounds good. But sometimes Blood Tap Chain of Ice is actually great. Blood Tap Necrotic is good for putting overall startup pressure or a switching pressure. But also keep in mind that Unholy is one of those specs where you have to foresee and you have to take a lot of chances. You have to take a chance with a Chain of Ice, let's say Pestilence, Chain of Ice, Blood Strike, and get that extra freaking Dust Cold to get your Runic Corruption proc. So once you start balancing everything around the Runic Corruption proc, you'll find yourself actually having not a lot of dead zones at all. So that's about it, guys, for Unholy Pressure Master. I hope it actually helped you. I tried to give you a concept because I'm not a big fan of just giving everything that's technical. I like giving people concepts, and this is what exactly I gave it to you. Now if you want to use it or not, I really don't care, but please, for the love of God, give it a try. And if you have more problems with the Unholy Pressure Master, let me know. Anybody, thanks for watching. Please, let's get this video to about 500 likes, and до свидания.